and welcome to Change Happens, a weekly gathering of things that I found entertaining, informative, or thoughtful as I made my way through the digital cave that is the interweb.
All right, let's do this thing. Change Happens, Volume 104. As always, have a great day. Find your way. November 24th, 2024, from the walls of the digital cave. Hi. When does taking some pleasure in basic personal upkeep tip over into vanity? At some point I realized that skin was beginning to replace hair. Decisions would be required. Vanity would suggest all manner of foolishness. Basic upkeep would suggest a razor. I no longer feel the wind in my hair, but I continue to adhere to reality simply. Change Happens is in part brought to you by Hyperventilating the Podcast. A father and a daughter discuss matters. Entertaining, thoughtful, and informative. Join us every Wednesday. Manipulating Reality. Headline: Neuroscientist Rafael Yuste could play your brain like an instrument. From the article, it was the first inkling he had that he'd one day need to be involved in creating laws to stop people from manipulating each other's brains. He'd created the mouse version of the movie Inception, and mice are mammals with brains similar to our own. How long, he wondered, until someone tries to break into the human brain? Wow. A scientist developed a method for manipulating the brain of a mouse using a laser, activating neurons that cause the mouse to see things that aren't really there. He has been heavily involved in the consideration of the implications of this ability. Yeah, I guess. The brain of a mouse is similar to that of a human. Right from the source. Headline: Is raw milk safe? From the article. For many, the question of risk is only half the conversation when it comes to raw milk. Pasteurization's detractors promote the idea that unpasteurized dairy carries big health benefits over pasteurized milk and fashion raw milk as a superfood. Yet all of the experts popular science spoke with note that these claims are not well supported by scientific evidence and that there is no scientific consensus backing any particular benefits to raw milk. Drinking raw milk is essentially a question of risk and reward. The pasteurization process doesn't really take away any of the good from the milk, or the reduction is negligible. The biggest issue with the raw milk is the possibility of harmful pathogens. If you're going to drink raw milk, you should probably investigate. He's Batman. Headline: Teach yourself to echolocate. From the article, after losing his vision as an infant, Kish taught himself to move around with the help of echolocation. Like bats, Kish uses his mouth to produce a series of short, crisp clicking sounds, and then listens to how those sounds bounce off the surrounding landscape. Our winged neighbors tend to emit these clicks at frequencies humans can't hear, but Kish's clicks are perfectly audible to human ears. From there, Kish makes a mental map of his environment, considering everything from broad contours like walls and doors down to textural details. Very interesting article from the perspective of a man who taught himself to echolocate. He now teaches others. It turns out that it's a very learnable, with effort and time, skill. For people without sight or impaired sight, the confidence and independence this ability gives them is incredibly significant. November 19, 1995. Toy Story. First entirely computer animated feature film. Down the Wiki Rabbit Hole. John Lasseter's first experience with computer animation was during his work as an animator at Walt Disney Feature Films Animation, when two of his friends showed him the light cycle scene from Tron. It was an eye-opening experience that awakened Lasseter to the possibilities offered by the new medium of computer-generated animation. Lasseter tried to pitch The Brave Little Toaster as a fully computer-animated film to Disney, but the idea was rejected and Lasseter was fired. He then went on to work at Lucasfilm, and in 1986 he became a founding member of Pixar. In 1986, Pixar was purchased by entrepreneur and Apple Inc. co-founder Steve Jobs. At Pixar, Lasseter created short computer-animated films to show off the Pixar image computer's capabilities. In 1988, Lasseter produced the short film Tin Toy, which was told from the perspective of a toy referencing Lasseter's love of classic toys. Tin Toy won the 1989 Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film, the first computer-generated film to do so. More crayons in the box. Headline: The Red and Green Specialists, Why Human Color Vision is So Odd. From the article. Over time, perhaps as primates came to occupy more diurnal niches with lots of light to see, we somehow evolved to be less reliant on smell and more reliant on vision. We lost our wet noses and snouts, our eyes moved to the front of our faces and close together, which improved our ability to judge distances, developing improved stereoscopy or binocular vision. In addition, old world monkeys and apes, called catarrhines, evolved trichomancy, red, green, and blue color vision. An interesting article that considers our ability to see color, specifically a wider and or different range of color from other mammals, and how this may have come to be from an evolutionary point of view. Not all bad luck. Headline: Discover 10 ways the Titanic could have avoided sinking. From the article. When the Titanic was built, it was the world's biggest passenger ship. Fate wanted that on its maiden voyage from Southampton to New York, the Titanic struck an iceberg and sunk on 15th of April, 1912. More than 1,500 of its passengers died. Some were trapped and went down with the ship. Others perished in the freezing waters of the North Atlantic. Many had erroneously believed the Titanic was unsinkable. But could one of the biggest peacetime maritime tragedies have been avoided? Something that speaks to everybody's eternal fascination with the Titanic. This is a list of things that could have been done differently. I found it interesting because it touched upon what actually went on with the captain and the first officer, and what they may or may not have done correctly. Given the Platypus competition. Headline: Tapirs. From the article. At first glance, it may seem like a tapir is a combination of animals. It has a proboscis, a flexible nose-like organ that allows it to grab hard-to-reach foliage or snorkel when it's swimming. Despite having a proboscis that might call to mind an elephant's trunk, tapirs are most closely related to horses and rhinos. Tapirs also have rounded bodies that are larger in the back than the front, making it easier for them to cut a path through thick forest. Tapirs, they're just odd animals. A fun look at an animal that doesn't get much press. There is certainly not anything else even remotely like them running about. If we want peace, we have to be peace. Peace is a practice, not a hope. Thich Nhat Hahn. And if you're not familiar with him, you should do yourself a favor and find him online and see what he had to say. Alright, thank you. I look forward to doing this again next week.
When we meet again inside the spectacular human repository of everything and nothing, it's your life, you understand.